Okay, so I'm going to give you a very quick lesson today in how your body accumulates fat. I'll just keep it super simple. So here we go. When you eat food, some of it is converted to glucose, and that glucose goes into your blood, and then your body is monitoring how much glucose you have in your body, in your blood at any one time. So if you go above a threshold, then your body will release insulin. That insulin will remove the glucose, and that glucose will be sent to your liver. It'll be converted to a triglyceride and then stored in your adipose cells, which is your fat. So basically, if you have too much sugar in your blood, it's removed by the insulin and then converted and stored as fat. Okay, so what you want to do is there's a threshold. The threshold. So if you're above the threshold, then you have too much sugar. If you're below the threshold, you have not enough sugar, but you do have a zone in the middle. So you want to just sort of keep yourself in that zone. If you keep yourself in that zone, then you will be able to eat food without really accumulating much fat. Right, but this is the trap that most people fall into. Most people will eat sort of a low quality food, which is very low in fiber, and so the glucose becomes available in their blood way too quickly because it's a processed food, and they'll have a glucose spike, and then they'll have resultingly they'll have an insulin spike. And then when you have the insulin spike, your body will over respond, and the amount of glucose taken from your blood will actually take you below that zone, and so you'll become hypoglycemic, so you don't have enough sugar in your blood. And so when that happens, you'll get cravings. You'll get cravings for like sweet fatty foods, because your body's trying to normalize you into this safe zone, and you've gone below that, so it gives you cravings for sweet foods. And again, you go and eat the wrong foods, wrong choices, low quality processed foods, and you go up. You go up again, and you go above this zone into the hyperglycemic range, and again starts the same process where your body releases insulin to try and remove the sugar and take you into this zone, but it'll over respond, and you'll go below the zone, and you'll be hypoglycemic, and you'll again get cravings. And so you have this kind of roller coaster effect. Okay, and there are consequences to this. One is every time this happens, you go above this zone, and the glucose is removed by the insulin and sent to your liver and converted to fat and stored in your fat cells. You're getting fatter. So that's one problem. Another problem with this is that you're going to start becoming insulin resistant. Because you're bombarding your body with insulin so often, eventually what's going to happen is two things can happen. You will become insulin resistant, so your cells will no longer respond to the insulin, so you'll need more insulin. And also the beta cells of your pancreas, which create the insulin, they'll begin to burn out. And so this is when you can actually become a type 2 diabetic. All this can be prevented just by eating a better diet. And so what you want to do is you want to eat foods which are complex, so that all of the carbohydrates are in a complex form. So when they break down into glucose in your blood, it happens very slowly because they are a complex carbohydrate chain that takes a lot to break down. So there's a trickle effect, so your glucose levels will ramp very slowly. Okay, because if you eat something which is like if you had a can of Coke, for example, because there's no fiber, it's just pure simple carbohydrate, which is sugar, and so you spike like this. You spike like that, and then immediately your body will have to respond with the insulin, and that's going to take out that sugar and then send it to your liver and convert it to fat. You'll store it as fat. So obviously you have all of these health problems associated with eating in this roller coaster type of way. So you've got to ask yourself, how are you eating? Are you putting yourself at this risk? Well, you can actually tell if you have been doing this just by looking at your body shape, because prior to becoming insulin dependent, like a type 2 diabetic from this roller coaster type of eating for a long time, you get what's called the metabolic syndrome. The metabolic syndrome generally has a body type, and that is you become very round in the midsection. Okay, so most of the fat you're putting on around your guts, around your stomach. So if you look in the mirror and you'll see like your legs aren't that big, and your bum isn't that big, and you don't really see me putting up fat here, but you're just getting really large around your midsection, around your belly, then that would mean that you have been eating this way, okay? And because when we eat in this roller coaster way, the fat is usually deposited around the midsection, and you start to get this apple shape. So look at yourself, have a look in the mirror, and think: do I seem to be putting on fat, particularly around the midsection, and not so much around anywhere else? Like my legs are really that much chubbier, my arms aren't that much chubbier, but I'm definitely starting to bulge around the midsection. If you are, then look at your diet. Are you eating foods regularly that are high in simple sugars? Okay, and do you find that you eat something in simple sugars, and then a while later you'll have an energy slump? You go, and you're just like dead, and you start getting cravings, because what's happened is, because you've eaten something that's given you a glucose spike in your blood, insulin over-responds, takes you down into a hypoglycemic range, and when you're hypoglycemic, you have an energy slump. You're like, and you get the sweet cravings again to continue this roller coaster, which is very damaging for your health, and obviously it's going to give you a body shape that nobody wants. All right, so that's just a very simple breakdown of the mechanism through which we get fat. So have a look at what you're doing, and if you can see you're doing this or something like this, then stop it. If you want to know what you should be doing instead, then reach out to me, and I'm happy to share to you some free resources which you'll be able to use to make significant changes in the way that you eat. And as a result, you're going to get significant changes in your body, because the body shape that you have, it's 80% as a result of what you eat. 75 to 80% of what you eat. It's only 20% of your activity level. Okay, you cannot out-train a bad diet. You just can't do it. All right, so you can get the most gains you can and start getting a much better body shape without even exercising, just by changing your eating habits. All right, so best of luck. Again, if you need any help, reach out to me. I'll be happy to give you a hand. Thanks.